Hello everybody, Alex here. Welcome to my Finance and Accounting Education channel here on YouTube. Today we are going to talk about the results of the previous month, namely about May. We have done already all the months of this year. I have started this year to somehow review the developments in the markets, in the stock exchange, on the stock exchanges, with focus on the United States stock exchanges and the European largest stock exchanges in Europe. May is over, so we can already talk about it and see what happened actually. But before we jump right in, I'm going to ask you to subscribe my channel, to hit the bell notification button, then you will never miss an update on my site. I do them quite regularly these days. You should expect new and hopefully interesting videos from me on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays as well. And that being out of the way, let's jump right in. So I'm saying that May 2022 was indecisive. Is it a turning point or not? Just as a short remembering, we have started the year quite badly. January, February, then were negative, so let's say bearish months. March was a little bit better. Then in April we went again into a negative territory, and May is undecisive, meaning that, and we will see right in a few seconds, United States stock exchanges were still negative, with a large negative on the tech-heavy Nasdaq, while the European markets had a positive, let's say, marginal development, and that is not telling me anything because I don't know what will happen. It can be a turning point, meaning that we will start having bullish markets for the rest of the year, or it can be just development and we will continue to have bear markets the entire year, because let's just say that the concerns that the investors have have not been lifted in the meantime. And talking about the concerns, we need to understand the global context. This slide didn't change that much compared with the previous month because not many things changed in the real world. So we still have this inflation problem throughout the world. We still have the supply chain logistics problem still in place, started with the COVID pandemic. Now they are, let's say, they grew more relevant based on the fact that China has the zero COVID policy. They shut Shanghai, which was also not only where they're not only production facilities, but also I think it's the largest port in the world. Then we have added to this supply chain logistic problems the war in Ukraine. Somehow let's just say that the Black Sea ports are no longer doing their job, the ones on the Ukrainian side, and yeah, so let's just say that the things are not looking very well. That's the concerns of the investors, as also that we might get into a stagflation or into a mild recession due to these conditions around the world. Just as I have said, the zero COVID policy in China, the war in Ukraine, the development in fuel and energy prices, central banks starting to tackle inflation, and energy prices are growing. What's now clear is that the central banks need to move against inflation. They are still, or they still cannot do it very brutal. They say that the Fed had a 0.25 rate hiccup in March, 0.75 in May. So now the interest rate in United States is 1%, tapering all over the place. ECB is also doing tapering, although they haven't announced anything related to the interest rates yet. And the Bank of England did the fourth hike of 0.25 up to 1%. So they are also at 1%. They did the fourth hike in May. Yeah, so the pandemic seems to be behind us completely, except the weird policy of China. What's a very large concern is the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which is affecting many sectors. the gases, the rare gases that are used for manufacturing semiconductors. We already had troubles with semiconductors. Now even more, they are produced by Ukraine but also by Russia. Then there is the cereals problem, the grains problem, that Ukraine is one of the largest producer, the agricultural producer in the world, and they were exporting, and at least the food was getting to African states and in Middle East and so on and so forth. We might have some troubles with the population there. We might have some refugees due to the let's just say to the economics, or to the hunger. Let's just put it this way and simple. Yeah, and it's affecting these countries, the countries which are less developed, and they are consuming a lot of cereals. So this is, let's just say, the context. So a lot of concerns. It's not clear in which direction we are going. We don't know what's going to happen with the war in Ukraine, how long it will last. Yeah, the inflation and so on and so forth. This slide also didn't change that much. The winners and the losers. Okay, you are a clear loser when you are selling in red because you have lost the money. It's okay if you keep, so I said here that it's neutral results. It's not like you have zero growth. It's not in this sense, but if you keep the shares which are less pricey, so less expensive right now, and at some point they will increase in price again, you didn't lose that much. So you just lost something on short term, but you didn't really took the loss in your bank account. And of course, the best thing to do right now is to buy the shares which are discounted. If you had some companies in your mind, you wanted to acquire some shares of some companies before, and now the prices are reduced, this is the time to do it, if you can, of course, from financial perspective. Now going to the indexes, or to the markets, as I have said, United States in red, S&P 500 minus 0.56. Interesting is that towards the end of the month we had a certain rally, except the last day. I mean, they really had to screw it in the last day when they went back in the red territory. But on the overall S&P 500 with minus 0.56% in May. Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is a selection, I think 50 companies, very large in the industry, and it's somehow, let's say, less representative than the S&P 500, down 0.22%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq is here, where you have all the small, medium caps in technology, all the IPOs and so on and so forth, unfortunately minus 3.63%. Yeah, the tech sector is not a favorite of the investors right now. There are repositionings in other sectors, but most of the money is staying in bank accounts, unfortunately, until they will catch up with the fear that the inflation is so high and they need to somehow invest the money, so they cannot keep the money forever in the bank accounts. Then, just as I have said, the European markets had positive performance, actually. DAX with 3.22%, but you see at the end of the month it was the same sell-off as in the United States, on the United States stock exchanges. Then we have the FTSE 100 up 0.61% in the past month. FTSE 100 is the London Stock Exchange index, and the CAC 40, the French index, 0.67%, also up last month, so in May. And you can also see the latest trading day sell-off here in this case. Then we have here the percentages in my portfolio, slightly revised for April, so not that slightly because it was 8.99% minus. I have rethought of everything what's going on here and how I'm evaluating this. The idea is to compare month with month with the same basis. So if I'm acquiring something within a month, I will have to take it out for the respective month when I'm comparing with the previous month. But it can stay in when I'm comparing with the next month, of course. So it's, if you have seen the videos about, for example, Unilever and this underlying sales growth, or the same baseline growth. And the idea is that, for example, if I'm acquiring something with debt, so I'm taking a credit for acquiring something, if I'm just deducting the credit in the month when I'm taking the credit, that means that any movement in that title within the month, assuming I'm not buying it exactly on 31st of the month, so on the last day of the month, any movement within that title will, if I just deduct the debt, any movement will still be considered, which is also not really correct if I want to have the same base. So the idea is that I have to, when I'm acquiring something, be it on credit or mostly on credit, because if I have sold something previously and by adding the cash, so somehow I keep the same baseline, I actually have to deduct the title in the titles or the companies, the positions entirely, so to have the correct rates. Here was something else in April. It was a mistake in comparing with March, with deducting something which I shouldn't have deducted, because it was already included in both March and April. I have deducted it for March because it was relevant in comparison with February, but I kept on deducting it and it was not really a good idea. So we had January minus 2.62% compared with December, February minus 3.88% compared with January, March plus 3.79%, just as I have said. In March somehow the market looked better in general, so all the markets look better, all the stock exchanges look better, plus 3.79 compared with February. April minus 5.73. It made sense, the 8.99% or with minus, because also the S&P 500 had a very large drop in that year, but then in that month, in April. But then I thought about that I'm not that exposed to only S&P 500, and something must be wrong there. And this is why I have corrected it. It's minus 5.73 compared with March. And in May, minus 2.32%, driven mainly, if you are looking at the mix here, you will see that only Nasdaq is lower than, so did worse than what I did. It's driven by the tech stocks, and not only the ones in the US, but also okay, let's just say that TSMC is also in US listed, but also by ASML, so it's mainly tech driven, this drop. And despite the fact, and also there were some problems with the real estate investment trusts within May month. That was it for today about the May performance. Just as I have said, undecisive, red in the United States, with the biggest loss on Nasdaq, tech heavy Nasdaq, green in Europe, actually plus 3%, so more than 3% on the German stock exchange. Let's just wait and see what happens this year. If it will continue to be a bear market, I'm happy that I can acquire further great companies at discounted prices. If it will turn into a bull market and we will start seeing only green till the end of the year, it's also okay, because it's good for whatever I have acquired before. If you like this video, please do not forget to hit the like button, share it with somebody that might be interested about a review of May months on stock exchanges. Comment in the comment sections if you have something to add to the topic, but most importantly, do not forget to subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you a thing and it will help me a lot. If you also hit the bell notification button, you will never miss an update on my site. I do them quite regularly these days. On Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, you should expect new and often interesting videos from me. Below this video you have links. You can create an eToro account. I also have one, and trade there without a commission or a fee. Just be careful what you are trading. If you are trading leverage, you will get CFDs. Some titles are available in both CFDs and the shares themselves. One great example would be Eni, so the oil and gas company and actually energy from Italy. But you also have companies which are present only as CFDs, and this would be, for example, Aramco. So based on what you are interested in, be careful what you are buying, so just to be informed at least what you are buying. And anyway, trading without a commission or a fee on eToro means savings, because no matter how often you are trading, you will not pay anything for your transactions. which is very well compared with classical banks and so on and so forth. Below that link you have another one with an Amazon wishlist with hardware and software items which can help me improve the quality of my videos, thus being also beneficial for you because you'll get better videos from me. But let's just be honest and say that from financial perspective, the Amazon wishlist is the most inconvenient for you. The easiest way to support me is to subscribe to my channel, to hit the bell notification button, and of course to continue to watch my videos. Once again, my name is Alex Petrescu. I thank you today for your time and patience on my finance and accounting education channel on YouTube, and I look forward to presenting to you with the next opportunity. Goodbye.